Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope your day is going wonderful. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to create a couple note cards using the Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil Kit of the month for January 2021. This month's club kit is called Calligraphy Hearts and it is so pretty. You get 3 heart glimmer plates. There's 5 sentiments, and then you get some dies. One's a sentiment strip, one will cut out the hearts, and then there's a floral and a leaf. This month's foil is the beautiful red. I already have one, so I'm going to use this for my project today. Then when this roll runs out, I have a backup, which is really nice. I'm using this is such a nice little gadget, guys. If you haven't invested in one of these little trimmers, it's so nice. It cuts your foil beautifully and straight and cuts it like butter. I'm using my trimmer to trim down a foil just a little bit larger than the heart. I wasn't sure which one I wanted to use, but I opted for this beautiful pattern. I'm just going to trim a piece off, and I'm going to just lift up my plastic plate here and place my foil horizontally, and we're going to trim it again. And this is nice too because I'm going to create 2 cards, so I need 2 sentiment strips. So I should have just left my foil in and then trimmed 2 slices and I would have been done with it. But it was an afterthought. You know what they say about hindsight. We'll just put this back in here and I'm going to cut 2 small strips for my sentiment. Okay, I've had my glimmer machine heating off to the side here. I'm going to bring it in. It's ready to go. I'm just going to remove my plates. And when I found the perfect plates that foil for me, and I just leave them together. If you guys find a same foil system or shims, I would suggest just leaving them together, and then that way when it's time to foil, they're all ready to go. I'm going to place my heart on my glimmer platform here, and then I'm going to take both my sentiments. I have a small piece of white cardstock that I'm going to foil, and I thought we'll foil everything all at once. Sometimes you can get away with this, but sometimes you might have to refoil the sentiments at a different time. So I'm going to take a chance and see how this goes. I do find that if you do foiling and you have a lot of open space, center it on your platform. This way it'll foil nicer. But I'm just going to press my timer, and then while that's heating up, we are going to do a little bit of die cutting. I wanted to create a flower heart, and so I took the flower dies and the leaf dies. I'm going to cut the flowers out with some white cardstock. Now I usually go through my scrap bin to find some cardstock for die cutting, and I found these 2 pieces of white cardstock, and I thought, you know, I think we can use the negative with the circle. So I die cut out a slightly smaller circle with darker gray cardstock, and I thought we would create a real pretty background. I wanted to show you what you could do with the negative pieces of when you die cut out lots and lots of small images. So I'll die cut out the leaves with my gray circle, die cut out the flowers with my white circle. And by the time I got that done, my glimmer was way overdone. So we're going to go ahead and remove the foil and see what it looks like. I always think this is a beautiful reveal how shimmery this is. I do have a little bit of overfoiling, and I'm pretty sure it's probably because I left it heating for so long, but that's okay. I'll just take a little sand eraser and go around the overfoiled parts, and it cleans up beautifully. That's all the foiling we're going to do for our cards today. So I'll just turn my machine off and let it cool down here off to the side. I'll just put my glimmer plates on my little cooling mat, and we'll make a little more room for some die cutting. I'm going to go ahead and take the coordinating dies, and I love that the Spellbinders put in a sentiment strip to go with this. I do have trouble trimming my block sentiments to a straight strip, and so these help tremendously. I'm going to go ahead and just let it overhang a little bit. I am going to end up trimming off one side of my sentiment, so no worries about that. I am going to die cut out my heart that we just foiled, and then once we have these die cut out, we can we're going to do some sticking down with those little hearts. I'm going to bring in some gray cardstock. Got lots of little hearts here. I went a little overboard. I think it's always best to have more than less. But isn't that such a pretty circle? I looked at that and I thought, oh, this is nice, and then make a nice, quick, easy card. So if you ever do a lot of die cutting with the same image, die cut it out on a shaped piece of cardstock and then keep that, because you could, even the leaves would be pretty if you die cut it out with the green cardstock. You could use that for a quick and easy card. So just a little fun note. In fact, we're going to make a card with the negative piece. We'll set those aside and make a floral heart though. For my background panel, I'm bringing in a gray piece of cardstock. This is a little bit lighter than the gray leaves. It measures 4 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and die cut out a window using the heart die in the Glimmer Kit of the Month. Just making sure it's centered. And we'll run this through our die cut machine. And then I do want to leave it basically gray in the background. So when I do that, I like to have some kind of texture in the background. So I'm going to bring in a floral embossing folder. We'll just place our panel in here and I'll emboss this. This is such a pretty embossing folder. It's very elegant, and I think it's going to go real pretty with the floral heart around our window here. Okay, now our foiled heart's going to go right in the center, and I think that's going to look gorgeous. I love reds and grays and whites. It kind of reminds me of like maybe an engagement theme, so this would be a pretty engagement card if you changed up the sentiment. But I think it'd make a pretty Valentine too. I'm going to use glue dots to secure my flowers to my little heart window. And basically all I'm doing, guys, is adding a glue dot, and then I'm alternating small to big flowers and going around my entire heart window. It makes a real pretty heart. And then whatever flowers are left over, I layered on the larger flowers. So easy peasy to do, and it creates a really pretty wreath. I'm adding my gray leaves. I chose gray. You could go with green, but I thought gray would be really soft, and so I added my green leaves just using, or gray leaves using some glue here. So that's what my little floral wreath looks like. I think if you were into your foiled center to be a little bit more predominant, hindsight, I should have maybe made my wreath a little bit more outside the line of my window. That way my foiled heart would have showed a little bit better. But I'm going to go ahead and add my foiled heart to the center of my card base. And my card base is actually 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. Now I wasn't sure if I should pop it up or not, but I decided just to go ahead and add it directly to my card base. There's a lot of dimension with that flower, those flowers, and so I think that's going to be plenty of dimension. I'm going to use the sentiment for this card. This says XO, 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 lots of hugs and kisses. We're just going to put this in the center of our heart, and I think that looks so pretty. Now I tried to find some red pearls, red gems, and I couldn't find ones that were small enough for the center of the hearts. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a red Copic marker and just dot the center of all my flowers, and then I'm going to go over it with my Journey Glaze. Now Journey Glaze does have dimension to it, so it's going to round off the center of the flowers, but you have that color beneath it. I let it dry, and then I took a picture of it to show you guys what it looks like. It really does make a vivid flower center. So if you don't have any pearls, that's an option too. Okay, now that is card 1. I'm going to let that dry, and then I have these scrap pieces left over, and I immediately thought we could make a 2-minute card here. So I'm going to layer this negative piece over my gray negative piece, so it's outlined on the inside. And then I'm going to flip over these pieces. These pieces, before I trim my circle, well, my white one was already trimmed out from my scrap bin, but the gray one was actually slightly smaller. So I just went through my circle dies and found a smaller circle and cut it out. So that was easy to do. I'm just centering my die cut piece right behind it here. And then I'm going to pop it up with some foam adhesive. And then we're going to put this on a dark gray cardstock. It's the same cardstock that I used for my leaves, and it measures 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. We're just going to place this in the center of our card base. And I think that alone looks so pretty for something that we would normally throw away. Normally I just use my square scraps, but I suggest maybe die cutting out some shapes and then doing this, and it would make a quick and easy card. I'm going to use my foiled sentiment. This one says, "I adore you." I'm going to place this off to the left a little bit. And then I want to center my flowers. And again, I don't have any pearls or gems. And since it is popped up, the flower centers are not completely closed, so you have the opening. So I thought we would bring in some rainbow drops. These are larger gems, and I think they would cover on top of the flower beautifully, and it would just look real playful and fun. Sometimes with the rainbow drops, I don't use the largest ones, so this was a good opportunity for me to break some of those larger gems out also. I'm just going to fill in my flower background. I added a little bit of glue for those, and so we have a little touch of red for that. And that was a fast and easy card, and I just thought I would throw that in there. The only glimmered on that was the sentiment, but I thought we would make an extra card with our negative piece today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my project today and gives you some inspiration on how to use the Glimmer Hot Foil Kit of the month for January. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous day. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.